Mrs. Calhoun says it was her husband's charm that set a fire in her heart. But it was his cheating that made her set fire to his clothes. Today, on Divorce Court.
All rise. The Honorable Judge Starr presiding.
Hello, everyone. You may be seated.
Your Honor, the case of Calhoun v. Calhoun.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Calhoun, Mr. Calhoun. It's a pleasure to have you here in Divorce Court. And welcome, everyone, to Divorce Court. Today, we are looking at the case of Calhoun versus Calhoun, a married couple, as I understand, have been together for 6 years, married for 3 years. Mrs. Calhoun, why are we in court today?
I'm here today to divorce my husband.
Ooh, you ready?
Yes, I am. I've given him chance after chance. It doesn't work. He is a liar. He's a cheater. He is also has anger issues. I'm just ready to go ahead and get these papers signed so I can go ahead and hit this dating scene and give our kids a new daddy.
You're ready?
Yes, I am.
So I have to tell you, Mr. Calhoun, rarely do I hear a wife come in and say, I'm ready to go look for the next. Not only do I want to get rid of the present, I am already looking towards the future. So I know that you all have a 4-year-old together, and you have blended a family of children from previous relationships. So there's some stakes here. What do you say to your wife's allegations?
Well, I'm here to fight for our marriage. I mean, growing up, I was adopted, so I'm big on family. I want to keep our family together, keep it strong, so that's why I'm here to kind of try to rekindle that.
So big on family usually means you place family as a high priority for yourself. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, I do.
So let me see if you've been placing it as a high priority in the past. I'll go to you, Mrs. Calhoun. Why don't you take me back to how you all first met and what got us here to divorce court?
So we first met. We lived in the same neighborhood. I was dog sitting at the time, and my dog actually jumped inside of his car. And that's how we started talking.
So the dog picked the man?
Yes, my dog did. Pick the man.
So you were together for 6 years. You had a baby before you got married.
Yes.
But then got married pretty soon after.
Yes. Yes.
So tell me about that proposal and the wedding.
So the proposal was beautiful. We was in front of all of my friends and my family. We came down to visit my mother. And it was magical.
He did it in front of family and friends?
He did it in front of all my family and my friends.
Yeah, way to go. All right now.
Thank you.
Mr. Calhoun being player, I like that, okay. All right, so how'd it go so wrong?
So I had a taxi account. At the time, I wasn't able to do it myself.
Oh, okay, like one of the rideshare accounts?
Yeah,
okay.
like one of those. So I had my husband do it for me.
Okay.
He was doing it for a while, and then one day, we was asleep, and his phone just kept vibrating. I didn't think nothing of it. I kind of just silenced the notification. Then it happened again. At this point, it's 3 in the morning. It was a number that he had got from a ride. I proceeded to wake him up with a bucket of water because he wouldn't wake up.
Corey, is that the way your wife wake you up?
No.
Yeah. And I proceeded to ask him questions, and he told me that, you know, he was just trying to get some cash rides for his, you know, his clientele.
First of all, I care about her because when she threw the water on me, I reached for her to tell her we was drowning. I thought we was drowning.
And I told him we wasn't.
She's standing over me with the pot.
I said we wasn't drowning. You are. You're drowning.
Mr. Calhoun, y'all were really asleep if you just
We were, but the kissy face thing, that I don't know where that came from. That was just out the blue. I don't know, maybe, I mean, can you look at me? You know, just kissy faces come out of nowhere sometimes.
So
No,
wait,
they
you, is this a random person?
A random person.
That's what he said. It's a random person.
I didn't know her.
He said it was a random person at first, but then it became to, oh, she's just a rider, and she may need some cash rides. So I took her information so she can hit me.
So, but did you put any boundaries there to say I'm married and this is about riding, and,
Well,
and I don't mean
Put any
riding?
boundaries on it because she already poured water on me. It was over with from that
And
point.
that's not the only time.
I was trying to make some
he
money
was
for our
cheating on me
family.
that I
That's the
found
reason
out.
why I was.
I want to hear about this other cheating incident because clearly this is something that's been hanging there. That's why we're here in court, I could tell.
He had a best friend at the time that he asked if she could come stay with us.
It was a woman.
It was a woman. We had a discussion. He asked me if I ever done anything with my best friends. I do have male best friends. I told
Okay.
him no. We proceeded with that's fine. She was supposed to be coming to visit.
Wait a minute, I want to be clear with the facts.
Yes.
You have some male best friends, he has some female best friends.
Yes.
Not
You
anymore.
both have discussion
Yes.
about your opposite sex best friends and whether or not you all had been previously intimate
Yes.
with them. Am I correct?
Yes.
And your opposite sex male best friends you have not been intimate with. Am I correct?
Correct.
And he told you his opposite sex best friend
Yes.
he had not been intimate with.
Yes.
And this is somebody who came to live in your home.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what happened?
Few weeks went by, everything was great. We built a great relationship, me and her. Great relationship with my daughter. Everything was perfect. But some time goes by and I'm at the grocery store with my friend. And my friend asks me if I know what's going on in the house. And I tell her no. And she proceeds to tell me that Bree and David are sleeping together and have been sleeping together the whole time. So I proceeded to call him. He denies it. I called her. She denies it. I tell her to pretty much have her stuff packed by the time I get back. I get there. She's sitting there. She's quiet. She says nothing. She packs her stuff and she leaves. But when she leaves, she does send me a text, sending me an apology, pretty much explaining her side of everything.
So in other words, she just confessed to using you, being in your home.
Yeah, I
And-
submitted some documents to the court too.
Let me see this evidence. Oh, it's in a text. I apologize that you had to find out this way. I really didn't mean to hurt you in any way.
First of all, she delusional.
It's been going on for a while. I didn't know how to end it. And Mrs. Calhoun responds, girl, bye. You were literally living in our, and I can imagine, house. I'm so sorry. So-and-so you and that so-and-so, y'all both trifling as hell. I would agree.
Don't
I
even try to
swear
say
on
nothing.
everything, I didn't
'Cause what
mean
she
for it to go
apologizing
this
for if you ain't do
far.
nothing.
You didn't deserve this.
Oh,
Side chicks ain't loyal, Mr. Calhoun.
first of all, that's not my side chick. Listen,
Is that a lie?
we had something before me and Dar, okay? And I admit that I should have told her about that situation, but
Well, I'm sorry, Corey, I just want to be clear. Did you or did you not offer the defendant the opportunity to take a polygraph examination?
Oh, they
and
did.
he said he didn't want to take a polygraph examination. Am I correct?
That is correct.
What you got to hide, sir?
hey, first of all,
What you hiding?
I'm not hiding anything. I don't believe in answering questions that don't need answering. So
You see why we here? And with all this cheating, it turned me into somebody I didn't even know who I didn't even recognize myself.
I saw here that something really bad happened.
Yes, I burnt his stuff up. I threw his hookah in the lawn. I broke the door down trying to get to him.
Which, by the way, I think is completely outrageous, over the top. And anybody that turns you into such a toxic person, you don't need to be with. There's been a huge issue as it relates to cheating.
Yes.
This whole social media thing that ended up with a fire. Tell me about that.
I received a friend request on Snapchat, which is not odd. I get Snapchat requests all the time. But this one was a little different. I was on the phone, I accepted it, and I looked at her message, and it was a lot of subliminal messages referring to my husband. So I called him and I asked him if he knew who this young lady was. He told me no, to block her. I didn't because something didn't feel right. This was his first response. So I proceeded to look at her messages, and she sent me a message of them in the car together, riding around, kissing, hugging. She also sent me cash apps that he had been sending her, which at the time was, I was the only one working. So,
So he was sending her your money.
yeah.
slow it down. Wait a minute. Now, hold on now. I wasn't sending her money, okay?
That's the story he still says.
Mr. Calhoun, I'd like to find out about this relationship with the random girl on social media.
I mean, she wasn't random. It was somebody from the past. And at this time, we weren't even really, engaging like that. I used to want to Netflix and chill. She wanted best friends and thrills. So she would go out. I would be at home. And I mean,
And with all this cheating, it turned me into somebody I didn't even know who I didn't even recognize myself. Like I
Because
said,
I
did
saw
burn his
here
stuff.
that something really bad happened.
Yes, I burnt his stuff up. I burnt his things up. I threw his hookah in the lawn. I hung it up in the trees. I broke the door down trying to get to him. I submitted some
Oh.
evidence.
Let's see. Oh,
where are you getting this footage from? How do you have this?
let's call evidence. People who are mad.
Yes.
Yeah, people are
I
mad
just
and they
told you
want
I did
to
not
show
recognize
you
myself.
what the manifestation of that anger is, which, by the way, I think is completely outrageous, over the top. And anybody that turns you into such a toxic person, you don't need to be with.
Yeah.
That's it. You just don't need to be with them. I don't understand.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay, I did bring a witness with me. Somebody that could testify.
Tell me who the witness is.
It's her sister.
Testifying on your behalf.
Yes.
I would like very much to speak with the witness. Mrs. Calhoun seems to think Mr. Calhoun has been catting
Well,
around.
maybe if she wasn't complaining all the time.
This is also still the same sister that stayed in the house after I moved out. The rumors of y'all being together?
What?
I'm just not hearing this today.
No, you're
I have
not.
never heard a rumor like that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, it's the first thing I thought just sitting here. Will you
can
please
vouch
ask
for
the
me.
witness to join us?
Sure thing.
Yes.
All righty.
How is my sister your witness?
Please state your name for the record, ma'am.
I'm Antoinette Johnson. I'm Darlicia's sister.
And you are here testifying on his behalf.
I am.
This is crazy. This don't make no sense.
Ms. Johnson, what's
I'm
your
so
opinion of
confused.
this marriage, since you are the sister-in-law and the sister? The dynamic is very interesting.
I love my sister, but I believe she should stay with
You
me. I
is his
believe
witness. How? I'm divorcing the man.
it's okay. Listen,
I want to hear from Ms. Johnson, because to come into the divorce court on
Right.
his behalf,
Right.
you think she should give him another chance?
yeah, of
Why?
course. Because Dino's a great guy. You know what I'm saying? He takes care of my nieces. She complains. That's what she won't tell you. She complains all the time, and he takes it. He just takes it.
Ms. Johnson, though, did you hear that Mr. Calhoun has stepped out on his marriage? Did your sister talk to you about that?
Yeah, but that all happened. But I'm pretty sure that was happening before they got married.
Nope.
Have you ever been around the two of them for dynamic?
I have. I've lived with them.
You've actually lived in the house.
Yeah.
Mrs. Calhoun seems to think Mr. Calhoun has been catting
Well,
around.
maybe if she wasn't complaining all the time,
Complaining.
She watched me
maybe
take
he
care
would
of
want to
the
be
kids.
around more. You know what I'm saying?
Day in and day
From
out
the-
sometimes. She was there. She watched me. I cook for him, clean for him, do homework, after school, all of that.
Right. This is also still the same sister that stayed in the house after I moved out.
Me watching my nieces, her not
yet
being
my
there.
kids came
He
with me
would
when I left.
He would massage my. I have
My
carpal tunnel
kids
real
with
bad.
me.
He would massage my hands.
I did that
make
for the whole
sure
And is
family.
my
that not
hands were-
weird?
I've done that for the whole family.
Is that
though. Her
not
mother,
weird?
her.
Every,
It's
Is
nothing
that not weird?
strange about
him
that.
giving her massages, her posting him on her Facebook, and there's mad rumors going around. It's just weird. It's just
Rumors?
weird. Yes, the rumors of
Never
y'all.
heard 'em.
The rumors of y'all being together.
what?
I'm just not hearing this today.
No, you're
I
not.
have never heard a rumor like that.
Well,
man.
I'm gonna tell you, it's the first thing I thought just sitting here. I definitely thought it. And something tells me, may I see a show of hands from the jury? How many of y'all thought the same thing? Holla, okay? Thank you. Did you ever share with your sister how this made you feel?
I've had a conversation once about
Never.
it.
Well,
that
I'd
was
like
it.
to, will you tell your sister how this situation made you feel? This is your sister.
The dynamic hurt me. As you see, I filed for divorce.
Talk to me, Shorty.
I filed for divorce. Nobody understands how hard it is to be with somebody that you love with every fiber in your body, but you are forced to not be with that. You can't be with that person. So it was just weird. It was real weird to me when I had to get up and leave, and then you were still there. And I if I didn't have a conversation with you, I tried having a conversation with you. And you was like, come on, shorty.
You already
It was
know.
never.
That's all the answers
I hear you,
got.
though. I hear you.
Ms. Johnson, that's your first friend is your sister. You know that in the family, right? You know, is that
she-
your little sister or your older
That's my
sister?
baby sister.
So you were the big sister. How many years separate
7.
y'all?
7.
So you were the big sister. Mm-hmm. And you were definitely her first friend. That's the first person that she played with.
Right.
Okay? So I can imagine that no matter how much y'all will argue, up one side and down the other, she probably thinks that you're supposed to have her back. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, no matter how marriage turns out,
She's still my family.
and the day
All right.
that you have to bury one of your parents, and I get very emotional about this, because when I had to put my mother in the ground, the only person who I could depend on, I love my husband more than air. My son stood next to me, but my baby sister, that's who had my back. I could literally hear my mother talking in my ear when I said at her eulogy. I'm so proud of my sister and I because we have not had any arguments. I heard my mother say, because you're not supposed to. So at the end of the day, no man should ever come between you and your sister, ever.
Correct.
At the end of the day. Mr. Calhoun, your wife brought divorce papers to court. Didn't you, Mrs. Calhoun?
Yes, ma'am. Everybody thinks that I'm pretty much like over the situation and I'm done, I'm over him, I don't want family or nothing to work. But nobody knows, sorry. Nobody knows how hard this is. Like legit. It's a lot harder not being with you than actually being with you. I don't know if you've ever loved anybody that much to where you feel like you dying when you with them because they're not getting it. So yeah, I have to be done.
Corey, I understand that the divorce papers are in my chambers. Can you grab them, please?
Sure thing.
You brought him here?
Yeah, they're here.
Thank you. Mrs. Calhoun, you actually filed for divorce, if I'm not mistaken. Do you want them served?
Yes. I need him served.
Corey, serve the papers.
Sure thing. You've been served.
I mean, this is a surprise to me because I didn't think that it would get this far. You know,
Nobody ever does, Mr. Calhoun. Nobody ever does. It got this far because the two of you neglected your marriage.
Yeah.
It got this far because you placed other people
And I'm done.
as a priority. It got this far because there's so much anger between the two of you, it's turned toxic. It got this far because the marriage may have run its
But
course.
people come back from this type of stuff.
There's a
Counseling.
time, a reason, and a
hurting.
season for every relationship. The time may have passed, the reason may be over, and the season probably has changed. You have my verdict.
Made in Georgia. Miss Walters says Mr. Atkins is always checking to see if she's cheating, but he's the one who keeps on getting busted. Today on Divorce Court.
All rise.
The Honorable Judge Starr presiding.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
You may be seated.
Your Honor, the case of Walter versus Atkins.
Thank you very much, Ms. Walter and Mr. Atkins. I'm glad to have you here in divorce court. Thank you for trusting us with your relationship. I understand that this is a couple who are at a crossroads, deciding whether or not they're going to go through with this engagement and turn it into a marriage. Ms. Walter, you brought this case. You've been together for 3 years. You've been engaged for a year. But you have questions about your fiancé's behavior that you want some resolution with. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right. Why don't you tell me why we're in court today?
Well, Your Honor, I thought that he was my knight in shining armor, but now I don't even know if I want to walk down the aisle with him, depending on how this lie detector test goes. There's been some trust issues, and then his high level of insecurity when it comes to me, and then it seems like he's always broke.
And so I'm going to find out, Mr. Atkins, what do you say to these allegations? Because your relationship kind of hangs in the balance.
I'm not broke.
Okay.
I'm not broke for nobody. That's the first thing. Second thing is I don't necessarily have insecurities. I may have another word for the issue I may have from previous relationships and past trauma. I'm an emotional, fragile guy. So, yeah, I think that should be taken in consideration as well. But the reason why I'm here today is because I'm tired of Miss Waltz over here always trying to be controlling, always trying to make me be like her, which I'm a man. That's never going to happen. And I do love her. She's different from most, and I respect that, and I acknowledge that. So I do want this to work. I've even taken a lie detector test, as she's brought that up, just to prove to her that my integrity and my faithfulness to her in this relationship is solid. So
let's see if
Fine.
there's something still here between the two of you. We're going to delve a little deeper in that. Ms. Walter, why don't you take me back to when you all first met, when there were happier times, and then what led us to get here today?
Yes, so we first met on a dating app, and it was great. We talked all the time. Our relationship kind of moved kind of fast, because within a couple of weeks, he was already ready to propose to me.
What?
Yeah. So
You got it like that within 2 weeks?
I mean, I said within a couple of weeks, yeah, he was already ready, to propose. I was kind of, reserved because it's only been a couple of weeks. But at the same time, he was everything I wanted,
Fair enough.
He was always, giving me gifts, getting my nails done, my hair done, and all of those things. So he was a good guy. He was a great listener, so it started off great.
And Mr. Atkins, you agree that it started off well?
I think it started out very well, yes. And I think some turns might have got involved in there, some wrong turns and things that she don't necessarily know about. As far as my financial situation was a lot better when we first started dating. So I was able to do those things with no worries. But things have happened, and I'm not in a situation anymore.
Okay.
She don't necessarily know all that because I thought I was making her happy still.
I know, but one of the tenets of a relationship is communication. And if things have changed under your circumstances, it's nothing to be ashamed of. A man walks in the door and he says, babe, our circumstances have changed, and I want to talk to you about it so that we can make a plan in light of the new circumstances.
Now, I understand where you're going with that, Your Honor. Our situation is that was none of our business. So I felt strongly about that. It was my business.
That was none of her business then.
No.
But did you or did you not ask her to become your wife?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
And when she becomes your wife, it becomes her business.
When she becomes my wife, yes, you're correct. It becomes
But
her
in
business.
order for me to become your wife, I got to know what I'm getting into. So everybody should walk in with their eyes wide open so that you don't have to get a divorce. Because when eyes get open and new things are revealed, that's what usually causes problems in a marriage.
But she wants me to be like her so much, Your Honor. That's what she's missing out. She's a vegan, for example, right? I'm a down-home country boy from Pritchard, Alabama. I like meat. I'm a carnivore. So for her to be talking about something, she want me to start eating this vegan mac and cheese and all these other vegan products she try to push on me.
It's good for you.
Beyond Steak. What the hell is a Beyond Steak? It's beyond me what it is. So I got to go through all that stuff just because she wants me to be like her. She didn't bring that
Because
up.
I want you to be healthy. Okay.
I know, but Miss Walter, let's come to brass tacks. You knew who Jimmy was when you first met Jimmy. He's a down-home country boy. He told you he liked meat. He's looking for oxtails, rice, and peas. He's not looking for Beyond Meat. That's just who the brother is. And if that does not work for you, fair enough, but that's who he is.
Thank
But
you.
he also knows that I was a vegan, so he knew that that's who I was. And if I'm cooking and preparing meals, then he knows what I'm buying. You know I'm a vegan, so why are you asking me to cook oxtails? I don't believe in eating meat, so why would I do that? I'm not
Fair
gonna do
enough.
that.
Because what has just occurred is you are a vegan who wants to prepare vegan food.
Right.
You are a carnivore who wants to eat meat and potatoes.
Some ribs, some steak.
Guess what? Either you cook your own food or you go out to eat. That's really the point.
Right.
Okay? And now I'm hearing about insecurities.
Yes. So he has this thing where he tries to investigate me, like I'm doing something. So he will like go through one of my old phones and go through my Messenger on Facebook. He's created text-free numbers and text me acting like he's somebody else.
For what purpose? I don't understand.
He tries to act like he wants to catch me up on something. So I sent one of the texts as an example today.
I want you to walk me through that. Let me see the evidence, please. The green is you.
Who is this? Yeah.
Oh, I told you it's your sugar daddy, LOL. I don't play games, so you don't have to call me or text me at all. Good day, sir. It's okay, I'll sneak up on you when you come back home like the big something bandit. That's when you knew that it was him?
I didn't know it was him. I get another random text message. I have an ex that we had a very traumatic breakup, and he made a number pretending to be that ex, saying he wanted to meet up and clear the air. And I'm like, I almost fell for it until he said, when we meet up, can I get in the bed with you? And I'm like, get in the bed with me? This is fishy.
It was another setup?
So he ended up admitting it, and Your Honor, that was not okay.
I'm just very proud of you on behalf of women everywhere that you shut it down early.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to use this text chain as an example, Exhibit A, in the future on divorce court of when somebody slide into your DMs how to shut it down. Shut it down, okay? And that's exactly what you did.
But he denied it. He acted like it wasn't him, and then months later, he did say, oh, yeah.
Why did you do
sorry.
that?
Okay, all right. In my defense,
I'm listening, and you don't need to prove nothing to them. You need to prove it to me.
I do have some form of trust issues, but not toward her.
But
Okay?
wait a minute.
So,
if you're questioning this woman by going into her messages and trying to set her up, why
I
would
was
you
just
do
trying
that?
to test the loyalty, Your Honor. At this point, I had already proposed to her. I didn't want to go into the marriage. We did get married, and there'd be issues. So I was just throwing some nets out there to see if anything would throw up a red flag.
So you tried to set her up?
If you want to use words like that?
No, I don't need to use words like that. I need to see examples like this. And honestly, what would you have done had she fell into the trap?
Didn't think that far ahead, Your Honor.
And I'm very glad it didn't, because you had a trustworthy woman. That's the point.
Hold up now, though. But there's times I do have trust issues with her as well.
Well, I'm about to hear, because I understand that's not the only time that there's been an example of the trust issues.
No.
Who, on me?
And so, on you.
I want to hear it.
Okay, so I go back home to Oklahoma, and I always invite him, but he never wants to go. He's like, oh, it's boring down there. How did he know he never been? But every time I come, that's when he starts to, act strange. So this one particular time I'm in Oklahoma, and I get another random text message, and I have an ex that we had a very traumatic breakup, and some things happened during that relationship, and he made a number, like the area code that I was in, pretending to be that ex, apologizing for everything he did. And I thought it was him, and he was apologizing for everything, saying he wanted to meet up and clear the air. And I'm like, wow, really now you want to clear the air? And then I almost fell for it until he said, well, when we meet up, can I get in the bed with you? And I'm like, get in the bed with me? He wouldn't say that. That was weird. Then he calls me. He calls me right after that. And he's like, what are you doing? And he was like, do you got any plans tonight? So it starts to register. This is fishy.
It was another setup?
So he ended up admitting it. And Your Honor, I left Oklahoma that same night. I wasn't supposed to leave until that next morning to head back to Atlanta. It was 12 and a half hours. I didn't sleep. I got right in my car and drove straight here to confront him, because that was not okay. That was That was the final straw because you don't do stuff like that. Like, and he knew how traumatic that breakup was. He knew it. So to use that against me was not okay.
Ms. Walter, I know it, and I can see from the passion that you are speaking with that whatever it was painful for you. That was mean-spirited and nasty. I'm sorry, sir.
She don't know I got an air tag. I got a way of finding out where she was at.
Wait a minute.
Okay, I got an air tag.
Wait a minute. You slipped up. I heard it. Where's the air tag, Mr. Atkins?
In the back of the
You
trunk.
got an air tag on me?
You don't do that to somebody that you love. So help me to understand why you would, Mr. Atkins.
Past trauma, just really no excuse other than the fact that I want to make sure she was still loyal and gonna be faithful to me going into this marriage. I had no reason to doubt it up until the points like I was getting to earlier. There's situations where she says she'll be somewhere and she won't be there. Like there's a gym not far from where we live at, and there's another one maybe 3 or 4 blocks away. She says she's going to the gym. I'm all energetic. I throw on my gear, pop my supplements, go to the gym, get ready to meet her. She's nowhere to be found. I call her, ask her where she is. First, I text her a couple times, no reply. I finally call, she lets me know she's at the other gym.
By
I
my
said,
job.
At the other gym? Okay, cool. So she don't know I got an air tag. I got a way of finding out where she was at.
Wait a minute.
Okay, I got an air tag.
Wait a minute.
I had an air tag.
You slipped up. Something about this room to make people tell the truth. I heard it. She don't know I got an air tag. Where's the air tag, Mr. Atkins?
In the back of the
You
trunk.
got an air tag on me?
No, not on you.
Then where's it at?
She in your trunk. By the spare tire.
Do you know how psycho that sounds? I'm gonna straight up call it. That sounds psycho.
It may be overprotected. I don't agree, Your Honor. I apologize, but I don't agree.
Oh, I heard one of my jurors say that's creepy.
They might be creepy.
Creepy.
She getting all emotional for no reason right now. And it's
Oh,
just
excuse me. I'm sorry. You don't get to tell her what she can be emotional about.
Yes, ma'am.
He has no reason to not trust me. I haven't given any reason not to trust me.
Do you have any reason not to trust him?
Yes. I have every reason not to trust him.
Why do you say that?
We was looking at some stuff on his phone. He was showing me some stuff about the wedding. He got this text message, and this lady's name popped up, and I didn't know who it was. It's like, who is this? He finally tells me, that's a lady I met at the bar, and we became friends.
Okay, hold
on, stop, don't interrupt me. Not only that, I went through his phone and saw that he was on a dating app, and he had a whole profile. He was reaching out to different women. Now, I didn't see anything where they met up, but the fact that he was on the dating app, and I don't know what he done with that lady at the bar. I don't know none of these things. That's why I asked for the lie detector test, because I feel like he's out there doing something.
Well, I don't know if you have moved into Cheaterville, but I can tell you for certain that this behavior would make me suspicious.
Yes, ma'am. I totally understand. But, okay, the bar situation,
Nope. Mr. Atkins, let me tell you something. Juror number 2 been smiling at me this whole day. And I'm gonna tell you right now, he can't get my phone number. You know why? Because I'm a married woman, okay? He can't get my phone number because I'm a married woman. I don't care if we both go to the bar. I don't care if we sitting at the bar, and not in any way, juror number 2, do I think that you were trying to flirt with me. This is calling an example, juror number 2. What I am saying to you is, can't nobody step to me because I'm a married woman and I'm not interested, because I am a married woman.
I see what you did there, but yeah, she supposed to be my woman. And when we double back around talking about me on this app, I mean, yeah, I was on the app because things weren't going or feeling the way I thought they should feel.
You sound like you was looking for a backup plan.
Maybe a plan C, not no plan B, though.
And see, that's why I need the results from this lie detector test.
I'm gonna pass the test.
Okay.
Actually, let's go to the test. Would you please ask Mr. Yarborough to join us?
I sure will.
I want an apology from them. Please.
You want apologies from the jury?
I want apologies from when I pass this test.
Because I'm going to tell you something, sir. Y'all don't need to excuse me, the jurors are about to revolt up in here, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Yarborough, will you please introduce yourself to the court for the record?
My name's John Yarborough. I'm a certified polygraph examiner and a member of the American Polygraph Association. I've done hundreds of polygraph for law enforcement and other public safety agencies across the state, as well as professional and private party polygraphs.
I understand that Mr. Apkins willingly submitted to a polygraph examination ordered by this court, and we asked him 3 questions, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
All right. Those questions are, Mr. Yarborough, we asked Mr. Apkins, did you have sexual contact with the woman you met at the bar?
That is correct.
And what was Mr. Apkins' answer?
Mr. Apkins answered no.
What did the test results indicate?
The polygraph examination results indicated there was no deception indicated to that
He
question.
told the truth about that incident.
That is correct.
We asked Mr. Apkins, while in a relationship with Ms. Walter, have you had sexual contact with anyone you met on that dating app?
That is correct.
And what was Mr. Apkins' answer?
Mr. Apkins answered no.
And what did the test results indicate?
The polygraph examination results indicated there was no deception indicated.
Boom! See? You
talking-
ain't got to ask the last one.
Excuse me?
You ain't got to ask that one. Nah.
Excuse me? I beg your pardon. The last question he does have to ask. We asked Mr. Apkins, since starting your relationship with Ms. Walter, have you had sexual contact with anyone besides her?
That is correct, Your Honor.
What was Mr. Apkins' answer?
Mr. Apkins answered no.
And what did the test results indicate?
The polygraph examination revealed there was no deception indicated.
That's what I'm talking about! That's what I'm talking about! I need apologies from every last one of y'all. We'll start with juror number 2. We'll start with juror number 2. Let's get it. Sorry to waste your time.
Nope, no.
Yarborough.
Excuse me. It's not a waste of time because we absolutely believe that you have not had sexual contact outside of your relationship.
Thank you.
But we absolutely believe that you are a controlling narcissist that needs to check himself. Okay?
My brother.
Okay? Very clear. I don't think that you lied whatsoever about sexual contact. I didn't believe that because I think that you're too arrogant to do that. Because you knew that you brought this woman is in court today because of your behavior and insecurity. This is a nice lady. This is a nice lady who has given herself to you to be in your life. And if I could sing, I would sing that little song, "You About to Lose Your Woman." Because this woman is not going to put up with that kind of behavior anymore. Mr. Yarborough, thank you very much for your services. I'd appreciate that.
You're welcome, Your Honor.
She is a whole human being. And she may owe you an apology for doubting your fidelity, but you owe her an apology for putting her in a position that she has to question whether or not you are a psycho stalker. You want this woman to be your wife? You're going to have to step up. Ms. Walter?
Yes.
This has been an extremely emotional case. You have other problems. You have other issues that the two of you have to resolve. Trust is the foundation of every relationship. And I don't think you should walk down the aisle until you pour a little more seed into that soil.
Yeah.
Marriage is too serious and love is too important to waste it. That's my verdict.
Can't believe that, man.
No, but I'm glad that you did tell me the truth. I mean, I just didn't know that you
I
were
told
telling
you
the
I'm
truth. I know that.
You supposed to still, what's up though? But pass the test, you're supposed to get married, right?
No, there's so much. We still have to work on a bunch of things.
Where does it leave me, though,
Can't
huh? Where does it leave me? You got the judge call me narcissistic, controlling, manipulative, and you didn't say yes. What am I supposed to do, huh? Where does it leave us?
I don't know.
Made in Georgia. Mrs. Hall says her husband's drug addiction led her into another man's bed. And now Mr. Hall wants a DNA test. Today on Divorce Court.
All rise. The Honorable Judge Starr presiding.
Hello, everyone. You may be seated.
Your Honor, this is the case of Hall v. Hall.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Hall, Mr. Hall, I'm glad to have you both in divorce court, and thank you all for joining us today. We are here with a case that has tremendous stakes. There are allegations of drug abuse and questions of paternity, which is going to impact on this family in a tremendous way. Mrs. Hall, why are we in court today?
Your Honor, my husband, Scott, has anger issues and he has a drug problem. He has ripped our family apart, and if I find out he's still using, I want a divorce. I have divorce papers.
You brought the divorce papers to court today.
I did.
Mr. Hall, you heard what your wife says. What do you say, sir?
I love my family. We got 2 beautiful kids together. I just want to show her that my family, that I've changed.
And you say today, this is where all the cards will be put on the table.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm going to see what those cards actually reveal. Mrs. Hall, you brought this case. I understand that you all have been together for 10 years. You've been married for 9 years, and you do have 2 children together. Why don't you take me back?
So I met Scott when he was dating my sister in high school. They quit dating. They went their separate ways back in 2014.
How your sister feel about that?
She's okay with it. She's with my ex-husband.
Okay, y'all just did a complete swap-a-roo. Okay.
Kind of.
All right. This is some new stuff, honey. Go ahead.
So I was walking in 2014. I was walking with my dog through the park, and my dog got off the leash, and he ran to the car, and Scott helped me get my dog. We exchanged numbers. We started talking. We started hanging out, and we hooked up.
Yes. And 10 years later, you're here in divorce court. That doesn't sound like I got the whole story. I think there was some stuff in between. What would you say, Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Absolutely. What made it change?
So I got pregnant. We got married. I had a daughter already from my previous husband. Scott's anger issues were showing, but it got more when she went to a friend's house one night. They were doing a Fortnite game night. She went there. I said,
How old is your daughter at this time?
She was probably, I want to say like 13.
Okay. So she was a teenager?
Yes.
Okay.
So she wanted to do a normal teen thing, and I didn't want to hold her in the house. So I said, go ahead. You can go for the night. Scott didn't want her to, but I let her. I kept telling him, it's not your daughter, it's mine. I'll do what I want. You know, I wanted her to have a life.
Okay. So before you made this decision to let her go for this particular night, there had been some problems with him?
Yeah, just his anger, always yelling at her.
So you were taking on the role of the primary parent when it comes to this daughter, am I correct?
Yes.
So, Mr. Hall, you know what she's talking about in terms of your anger issues?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you agree that there were issues?
Yes.
So, what happened with the daughter and the sleepover?
So I told her to be home at noon the next day.
Okay.
She did not answer her phone. There was some problems. I kept calling and calling the next day at noon, and she didn't answer her phone. So I did get worried, and because I got worried, it made him mad.
Of course, because he was ready to say, I told you so.
And he was throwing that in my face.
Yeah.
He was like, see, you should never let her leave. But I was like, she'll be home. Like, stop worrying. She went to her friends. I'll find her if anything. So, you know, she came home at 2 o'clock. She was 2 hours late. He flipped. Like, I just bought her a 75-inch TV for Fortnite. He followed her upstairs, didn't even give her no time to talk. He didn't let her explain what happened. He followed her upstairs, was screaming at her, and put his fist through the 75-inch TV I just bought her. I asked her what happened, why didn't she answer? And she couldn't even get it out because Scott was screaming so much. And long story short, the dog ate her charger, her phone died. True story, she brought her true charger home like it was legit. Yes, she was 2 hours late because she was waiting for the family's parent to get home to give her a ride because we lived on the opposite side of town. So it was a big old mess.
So in other words, she had some teen shenanigans, and what was supposed to happen is she was restricted and put on punishment. That should have been the result of those teen shenanigans. Like,
correct.
Like my mother would have done me.
And that's all it had to be. He didn't have to bust the 75-inch TV I just bought her.
Tag, you're it, Mr. Hall. What happened?
I was a worried father.
But what that have to do with putting your fist through a television?
Stayed out all night, though.
I completely get you're a worried father. Again, you were going to put her on punishment. She was not going to be able to go out. She wasn't going to be able to play Fortnite. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't have had a problem with you going in that room, unplugging the TV from the wall and taking that cord with you and saying, you talking about a dog ate your cord? Well, the dog's not gonna get to eat this cord because this cord gonna be in my room. That is a reaction that is rational and is one that every parent in this room says, okay, that works. Why would you put your fist through the TV?
I don't know. Instead of hitting her, I hit the TV instead.
Okay, well, don't you think that was a bit of an overreaction, sir?
Yes, I guess. I was wrong for what I did.
Yeah, but Scott, you didn't have to punch your TV. Like, you scared me, you scared her. From that day on, she looked at him different. You know, he said he was worried, but if he was worried, he should have been worried about how she looked at him different then.
Were they friends before? Did they have a relationship?
Yes, because her dad was not in her life.
Okay.
I was mom and dad until I brought Scott into our life.
And how old was she when Scott became her step-parent?
Like 11.
So this was like 2 years into the relationship, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you do know, Mr. Hall, that's about as formative of the years as you can get, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I measure every single relationship that I've ever had by the one that I had with my dad. Every single one, to this day.
But I was worried. I didn't know where she was.
Do you know he probably was worried about me more than I could guess? And it's a very similar situation to you, Mr. Hall. He was my stepfather. He stepped in because my biological father wasn't in my life. My daddy turned 85 last month, and he's still the measurement of every man in my life because he was the best example of a father that I could ever have. The best example of a husband, the best example of a man. You'd give anything in your whole life to have a daughter 40 years later sit in any courtroom and say that to a room full of people. That's not gonna happen because of what you did. Do you understand the impact?
Yes.
How does that make you feel, sir?
Disappointed in myself.
We were sitting outside, and my child, she looked at me and she's like, why is dad not my dad anymore? He was so high that he was busy washing a wooden fence. A wooden fence at 10 o'clock at night.
So in other words, the drugs had a hold on him.
Yes.
There's not a day that goes by that I don't regret it. I made mistakes in my life, and I would want to show her that I've changed.
Mr. Hall, what did you do afterwards to let us know that you were disappointed in yourself and you were trying to rebuild a relationship?
I did anger management classes to show that I changed.
And Mrs. Hall, did you see a change?
Your Honor, it's changed for a little bit, but then, you know, there's other things that come about, like I'm a manager at work. He is one of my lead employees. He's supposed to set an example. We run a cleaning business. Everybody hates their boss. Everybody talks about their boss, and I get that. Like, so when people talk about me, I just let it go. Well, Scott overheard my boss and one of his employees call me a bitch. He went and grabbed the dirty mop water from cleaning bathrooms and threw the mop bucket at my boss and his employee. I had to leave and go outside and be like, hey, my boss is here and I'm here because we come to inspect. I had to explain like what happened, and my boss like just sent Scott home for the night. It's okay, we'll deal with this tomorrow. So I mean, I could have lost my job. He could have lost his job.
I had to protect my wife because she wasn't
Yeah,
there
but
to
not at
protect-
work. He didn't need to do that. He could have just kept his cool.
Mr. Hall?
It was bad.
Please tell me that was before the anger management class.
Yes. Yes, that was.
Because, sir, it seems that you have immature and irrational reactions to common occurrences.
Your Honor, it's because of the drug use, though. That's what it all boils down to.
So, in other words, you've been just sort of laying the foundation
Yes.
of what has manifested, but the real culprit is drugs.
Yes.
Okay.
So one night, you know, my child, you know, she asked to have a bonfire because Scott got her into bonfires, and he knows he likes bonfires himself. He got her into it. We were sitting outside, and she looked at me, and she's like, why is dad not my dad anymore? And I said, honey, I don't know. He was not himself, and I didn't know why. I explained to her, I said, I don't know what's going on, you know? He was so high that he was busy washing a wooden fence. A wooden fence at 10 o'clock at night.
So in other words, the drugs had a hold on him.
Yes.
And
he ripped our family apart. That hurt me. And it still hurts me to this day.
I don't even know where to begin. Mr. Hall?
There's not a day that goes by that I don't regret it. I made mistakes in my life, and I would want to show her that I've changed. I've been sober for the last 2 years, or last year.
Your Honor, he did drugs last year. So we had a son. My son is a year old. At first, the hospital told us they didn't know if our son was going to make it. So I had family come from Wisconsin to visit and just be there just in case my son did not come home. While my family was there, I got a text message saying that, you know, we had a little gathering. Well, there's drugs going through my house with my family there. And I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I have drug tests that I give him randomly at the house. So I had one. And I was like, Scott, you want to take a drug test for me? He's like, no, I'm going to be dirty. Well, you're supposed to be clean. We're going through a tough time right now with my son. Like, that's our son that possibly is not coming home, and you're going to sit and use drugs?
So in other words, we're not talking you being sober.
I cheated on him with one of my employees. I found out I was pregnant a month later.
When it comes to 2-year-old Scott Calvin Hall, it has been determined by this court. I'd like to see the drug test results, please.
If it's not clean, I'm done, Scott.
According to the drug test.
I'm so sorry.
How have you dealt with this? Because I see in my court papers there are some paternity doubts.
Yes.
What happened?
So when Scott was hurting me, when he was on drugs, he was hurting me emotionally. And I told him if he didn't stop hurting me emotionally, I was going to hurt him. I said, I will give you what it takes, like you're hurting me and my children.
So you did a tit for tat.
I did. And I told him, I went and did it, and I told him. I came home and I told him. He said, I don't believe you. I said, oh, you'll believe me
What
one
did you
day.
do?
I cheated on him with one of my employees. I found out I was pregnant a month later.
You're 35 now?
Yes.
So over the age of knowing how to use a protection when you are having an intimate encounter with somebody, right?
Yes.
I am never going to say that cheating is good, but cheating and not using protection is stupid.
Correct.
And then you find out you're pregnant.
Yes. And I told him I didn't know if it was his or the dude's. So we had a paternity test done.
So today I am dealing with drug testing because you don't know if Mr. Hall is actually clean, and I'm dealing with DNA results.
Your Honor, we named him after Scott. His name's Scott Calvin Ricky Hall, so I believe it's his child. He looks just like our daughter. I pray it's his child. That's our son.
You know what? A lot is riding on this test. Let's start with baby Scott. Let's do the DNA test first.
You know, the baby looks just like him.
Okay. There are so many things going on with this family. This envelope contains the answer to at least one of those questions.
Thank you.
When it comes to 2-year-old Scott Calvin Hall, it has been determined by this court through the DNA Diagnostic Center. Mr. Hall, you are his father.
I told you.
The probability of paternity, 99.9999999.
I told you it's your baby.
9%. Out of 867 billion people, so that's your baby right there.
Thank you, Your Honor. It means a lot to me.
Now there are 3 children involved.
4. We adopted one, actually. We have an adopted daughter that we adopted at 18 because we raised her. We had her when she was 14, and we had her till she's 18. And at the age of 18, she asked us to please legally adopt her. So we legally adopted her.
You all have brought so many young lives into this. I'd like to see the drug test results, please. Thank you very much. Mr. Hall, what is this going to reveal to me?
Nothing but marijuana, Your Honor.
If it's not clean, I'm done, Scott. If you have anything else, I'm done.
It's good, I promise.
Mr. Hall, prior to coming to court today, you were tested for cocaine, marijuana, methamphetamines, and opiates. According to the drug test, the results reveal you tested positive for THC in your system, but negative for cocaine, methamphetamines, and opiates. You passed the drug test.
It gives me some relief.
I tell you what you need, not just relief, but you all need help. You need someone who is trained in family therapy where there is a history of drug abuse to help you navigate these waters. I'm concerned that the decisions that you have made in your life, Mr. Hall, will have a negative impact on these young lives that you all are parenting. Mrs. Hall, as strong as you are and as strong as you've been, you have to put your children first. I suggest that two of you commit to true family therapy. And you, Mr. Hall, commit to that family therapy, including drug rehabilitation.
Yes,
I suggest that. I think that the two of you and this marriage and this family deserve to have you both put one foot in front of the other and plan for a real future, but with some guidance and some assistance on how to do that.
I'm still going to hang on to these divorce papers just in case he fails.
I tell you what, Corey, retrieve the divorce papers for me.
Sure.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Hall, what do you need from Mr. Hall in order for these papers never to be taken out of this folder? Tell him what you need.
Stay clean and show us that you love us.
I will.
Work on yourself. You got to love yourself before you can show us love, too.
I'm so sorry for what I've put you through. Didn't mean to hurt you at all.
Well, you ripped us apart. We're supposed to better our lives, not worsen our lives.
Tried.
Mr. Hall, what are you prepared to do?
Whatever it needs.
This court would like to order family therapy that the court will take care of the fees for, so you all can be started on a path of rebuilding the trust in your family. But I need your commitment to know that you're going to complete it.
100%.
I will.
Will you participate, Mrs. Hall?
I will.
Then this court is going to retain these divorce papers. Mrs. Hall, the day you tell me to serve them, they will be served. But I hope and I pray that I never get that call.
I hope I don't have to make that call.
That's going to be on the two of you.
It's going to be on me, Your Honor.
That's what I want to hear. That's my verdict.
I still expect you to do this. You know that, right?
I will, I promise.
You better,
Sure,
because
I
I'm
won't
not
let you
doing
know.
it no more. I'm not gonna take this I accidentally thing anymore, neither.
There is no accidents.
I'll then prove it.
Made in Georgia. Ms. Hunt says her wife is an insecure control freak who uses their son as a weapon. But there's always two sides to every story. Today on Divorce Court. All rise.
The Honorable Judge Starr presiding.
Your Honor. This is the case of Hunt versus Brown.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Ms. Hunt, Ms. Brown, we are glad to have you here today. You all have been together 6 years. You've been married for 4 years. You have one child together who is 4 years old, so we have some stakes in the ground here. This is serious. There's a child that's involved. We cannot just throw away a relationship without putting some consideration about what's going on. Why are we in court today, Ms. Hunt?
I'm here today. I'm seeking full custody of my son and to get a divorce from Dantasia. She is very insecure, argumentative, and an emotionally abusive control freak.
Wow, that's a lot of allegations. Ms. Brown, you heard what your wife said. What do you say?
Yes, Your Honor. I have my reasonings for being a certain way towards her because of certain things that she has done in the relationship. Kayla is not trustworthy. She's not honest. She's a liar and a cheater, and she has put me and our son into, unsafe environments throughout the time we've been together.
So you say, Ms. Brown, that there's some reason for your behavior. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's get to the actual core of why we're here. Why don't you take me back, Ms. Hunt? You brought this case. How did you all meet, and what brought us to this point here in court?
We met in 2017 at a job that we worked together. She came up to me with like a little note with her number, and I had texted her. And from there, we started what I thought would be a blissful relationship. Throughout the course of the beginning of our relationship, it was great. Everything was happy times, fun times.
It seems like you all did it the right way. You dated for a couple of years, then you decided to get married.
Yes, ma'am. I proposed to her in 2018.
And then you decided to have a child together.
Yes, ma'am.
And here's my question. Ms. Brown, did you and Ms. Hunt decide to formulate your conception plan together? Meaning you decided who was going to carry the baby and how you were going to do the pregnancy? Did y'all do that together?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am. But at the same time, the idea was brought up from her as far as, having Carson and us being married. It was kind of pushed and rushed in a way.
So wait a minute, how long did you date Ms. Brown before you all got married?
I would say 1.5 years.
Okay, and then how long after you got married did you all decide that you wanted to start a family?
She honestly rushed everything. I was just more so, enjoying the time that we had together, but she was pushing for the marriage and to have Carson. She wanted a family, something that, we both wanted.
But you carried Carson, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Ms. Hunt, Ms. Brown seems to say that you were pushing, but she ended up carrying the baby.
Exactly.
Help me to understand this.
Exactly, Your Honor. There was never any forcing, never any pushing. Definitely it was a conversation. There were multiple times that, I told her, like, this isn't something that we're ready for, then we don't have to do it. It wasn't never something that we had to do. So for her to say that it was pushed and rushed, she was right on board.
That's not true, because she was completely lying from the beginning of our relationship. Our foundation was built on a lie.
Tell me what you're talking about. I want to be very clear.
My reasoning for saying this because I was not aware that Kayla had a fiance before she moved into my apartment 7 days of knowing her. I was not aware of her having being engaged to anybody or living with some other female.
But wait a minute, you said moved into your apartment 7 days after knowing each other.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm up here congratulating y'all thinking that this took 2 years, but y'all jump-started real quick. So I'm confused. Ms. Hunt, you were in a relationship when you started a relationship with Ms. Brown?
No, ma'am. I was not physically in a relationship. Me and my ex at the time, we did still live together, but we were already on terms of us not being in a full relationship.
That's not true.
At the time that I met Dantasia.
I always ask this question. Whenever I hear somebody say that they and their, quote, ex were in the process of breaking up, I always say, did your ex know you were in the process of breaking up?
No,
Yes, ma'am.
She was not aware. She was not aware.
So the girlfriend thought she was still in a relationship
right.
with
She
Ms.
found out about me, and she put Kayla out. She had no idea about me. She was engaged to this girl.
My ex at the time, she was taking a trip out of town, and that is the moment that me and her had that conversation again.
It sounds like the beginning of your relationship was not as romantic as I made it out to be in my head.
I thought it was very romantic. You know, on my end, it was honest and true. On her end, it was a bunch of lies. And it just seemed like she just needed somewhere to be until she got over what she was dealing with.
Well, it sounds like y'all have been having some co-worker type situations from the beginning. You brought the case, Ms. Hunt. You have to explain this to me.
I'm a very talkative person when it comes to meeting people, although they come to me. I don't just go talking to people. So I was having a encouraging moment with one of my coworkers, and she had texted me when I was at home with Dantasia, and the message had came across my phone. And
what did the message say?
I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was just more, like I said, I was just encouraging her on having, you know,
Ms.
she was
Brown,
going through a
what
tough
did
time.
the message say?
She was having casual conversation with a girl at her job that was sleeping in her car with her 2 kids. But me and Carson, we were sleeping on the floor. My child was a newborn baby. And we had no furniture in our apartment. But you're worried about somebody in your job with 2 kids sleeping in a car. Why didn't you point her to the nearest shelter?
And that's being insecure.
No, that's being
not. To have
straight
casual
up
conversation.
No, that's being straight up and saying, you and my family are my priority. Why am I and the family not your priority?
Yeah.
That's really what she's asking.
And that was my priority, as I was the breadwinner of the family.
It couldn't have been your priority. It couldn't have been your priority if you were not worried about me and Carson.
We did have a roof over our head.
Were you financially supporting this other person?
No, I was not once.
And Ms. Brown, do you believe Ms. Hunt when she says that?
No, I don't, because she came into my life lying out the gate through her teeth, and I had no idea until last year in January. So I don't know who Kayla is, to be honest.
At some point, you all became homeless?
We ended up homeless when we moved out to Atlanta, ma'am.
Because of her.
She wanted to pursue our son's modeling and acting career.
This sounds the most irresponsible thing. You think that moving to pursue a modeling and acting career of a baby is a financial plan for a family? What in the world? The family fallout seems to be a problem here.
Yeah, she lied about who she really was, like how responsible she says she is, how she can maintain a household, you know, a family. You did not do any of those things. Nor
What is
did
Ms.
you
Brown
be a
talking
wife
about,
to
Ms. Hunt?
You didn't
Your
do
Honor,
any of those
Your
things.
Honor, I did all of those things. It may have not been to a higher standard that she expected.
Because you made it that way.
But like I said,
That's
what
how you
needed to
made
be
it
done
seem.
was done. We had food on our table, our bills were paid, we had a roof over our head. That, to me, was more important than doing anything outside of that.
Just so that I'm very clear about this, at some point, you all became homeless?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
But I'm hearing that, quote, all the finances were taken care of. Those two things don't gel for me.
So
Yeah, it doesn't.
we
Because
ended up
she's
homeless
not-
when we moved out to Atlanta, ma'am.
Because of her.
Why'd you move your family to Atlanta if you didn't have a situation in place?
So, Your Honor, to begin, the plan when we moved to Atlanta was we were going to live with her best friend. I have never met this best friend.
That's not true. She brought up
Yes,
the Atlanta idea.
very true.
That's what
Very
she
true, Your
wanted
Honor.
to do.
Okay, do
I don't
y'all
know
sit down and
anything
talk?
about
Excuse
Atlanta.
me. Let's just stop for a minute. Do y'all have a conversation? You know, like somebody turn the TV on and y'all say, you know what, let's turn the TV off and let's sit down and talk about what our plan is.
No, Your Honor.
Yeah, we can, but then it's like she concocts up a lie, and then a week or so later she turns into a whole different person.
Okay,
like,
but wait a minute. I'm sorry, Miss Hunt.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a job wherever it was that you were moving from?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But you decided to move to Atlanta.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a job in Atlanta?
No, ma'am, but I did find one within a week of us being here.
Okay. I need to understand.
Yes, Your Honor.
What the heck was the plan?
So the plan was to come out here. She wanted to pursue our son's modeling and acting career. At the time, I wasn't, you know, gun-ho for that because he could barely even talk. So the
Carson
idea
was
of
talking
coming to
excellent.
Atlanta, yes, he was talking excellent, but he's a
very
two-year-old at the
smart.
time.
Y'all
Let's be honest.
barely have
very
a job and a roof over your head, and you trying to pimp the baby in order to make the baby an actor?
No, there's no pimping him. Absolutely
So-
not.
No, I'm serious
I got
here.
Us out that, out
what
that car.
job were the two of y'all going to be doing? You know what I'm telling you? Somebody got to be flipping a burger, delivering a ham
She
sandwich.
didn't want to do anything.
Putting some
She was too
boxes
ashamed. She was too ashamed to do
teaching
any
a
of that
child,
stuff.
Excuse me. This sounds the most irresponsible thing. You think that moving to a whole nother place to pursue a modeling and acting career of a baby is a financial plan for a family? What in the world?
No, Your Honor.
That's not how I looked at it. I didn't look at it that way.
Unless your baby is the Gerber baby and the Gerber people came over to you and said that they were about to hand you a big $100,000 check. Okay? That's not setting your family up for success. None of this makes any sense whatsoever.
We got into a big argument. When I come back, my son and my wife are nowhere to be found.
And that's why I want this divorce, because every time it's not her way, she takes him and up and leave again.
Because I want her to be a good parent to Carson.
Miss Brown.
Yes, ma'am.
She may have lied to you, but what you're not supposed to do is use that baby as a weapon against one another. Help me to understand about why this kidnapping situation started.
All right. Due to the frustrations of the move and everything, like I said, I was the only person working. I was working a full-time job. I would deliver, through food sharing apps and things like that after work, so working around the clock. We got into a big argument one day while I was at work, and I went back to work. When I come back, my car is sitting out in the parking lot of my job, but my son and my wife are nowhere to be found. At this point, I'm in a frantic. I'm like, okay, what's going on? When I try to call, I realize that I'm blocked. No calls are going through, no text messages are going through, so at this point, this is intentional. And this is the first time that she decides to leave with my kid because it's not going her way.
Where were you at this time, Ms. Brown?
I was living with my cousin out in Michigan.
And you didn't feel the need to communicate with your wife that your son had a safe and secure environment, so you were going to remove yourself from an insecure environment? Did you communicate that?
No, it wasn't an insecure environment. It was a angry, mad, aggressive, scaring Carson type of environment. That's why I did remove us the way I did.
Give me an example of what you're talking about.
Like, it was a time she asked me to cook when she got off work. I told her, honestly, I said no. I was tired. I've been up with Carson. So she'll get upset about stuff like that and want to punch holes in the walls. Or she'll, knock down all the, silverware and all the, plates and stuff and break everything. Like, she likes to destroy and tear up stuff when she can't have her way. But when I lash out and get upset with her for how she's behaving towards me, that's how she reacts to me.
I get the sense that this toxicity is not just coming from one end. The attitude that I'm feeling is that you don't like her at all, because your attitude is she's not
I don't like
me...
who she is towards me, ma'am, Your Honor, because I done nothing to her. I opened my doors to her, and she was...
Wait a minute, I'm sorry. You took your child. It's not your child. You're married. It's the two of your child, unless I miss my guess.
Yeah,
okay?
Yes,
because
ma'am.
it sounds to me, and I really need to be blunt with you, that you use this baby as a weapon in this relationship. If you're not getting the things that you think you deserve, then you know exactly what to do. You can take Carson and leave her standing there. Now, whether or not she's the perfect partner, I don't know, because I don't live in your home. She may have disappointed you tremendously. She may have lied to you. But what you're not supposed to do is use that baby as a weapon against one another. Carson doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve that. Does Carson think that you're his mom also?
Yes, ma'am. He knows that he has two moms.
Why
you
are
sitting
you
here
crying
crying
right
for
now?
what?
What's going
When
on?
you
Because
know
I
what
don't
you
want to
do.
be manipulated, and I don't want Miss Brown
And I'm not
to feel
trying
like
to.
she's trying, that she is fighting up against a wall right here.
Yeah, I do feel that way, because that's not fair, and you know what you've done. Just be honest.
I totally, in the beginning of our relationship, I take ownership for everything I've done from beginning to end. I'm crying because it's emotional. It's not just, this is real life.
It's very much real
You
life,
know,
and it's more importantly,
Yep,
there's a
and my
child
son-
involved.
yeah, my son is a
and
real person.
Like I said, the
Yes,
fact
he
that
is.
I can't give you the luxurious lifestyle, but I tried my best. And the one thing that I had your word on was that we were gonna raise our son together. He was gonna be our son. Ever since he was born, it was not that. And that's why I want this divorce. Because every time it's not her way or I'm not doing what she wants me to do, she takes him and up and leave again.
Because I
can't
want
trust
her
that.
to be a good parent to Carson, I'm wrong for that.
Miss Brown.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I missing something? Are you avoiding telling me specifics?
She's had us in abandoned situation. She done left us abandoned before.
What do you mean by
I've
that?
never left them abandoned. Every
You
time
have.
they've been
The last
gone,
time
she's
you
packed
left.
up and left.
The last time you left, you did leave.
And you stole my belongings.
I'm sorry. Whatever you used to have, you don't. You have very little to no respect for your wife. Whatever struggles that you've been going through and you thought you were doing the best you can, that's never going to be enough for Ms. Brown.
And
Ms.
I know
Brown
that.
has a level of expectation that you're not going to meet. Ms. Brown, I'm not sure if that level of expectation is reasonable because I don't know you well enough, and you all have not provided me with enough specifics to know if you're being unreasonable or reasonable. But what I do know is if the two of you had a child together in your marriage, that child is a product of that marriage.
And that's true.
Which
And that's
means
why
the
I
two
want
of you are
people
going to have to
together.
figure out how to co-parent.
Mm-hmm.
And the courts are not going to allow you to just grab a baby and go because you decided to get married and have a child together.
I haven't seen my son since Christmas of last
Why
year.
is that, Ms. Brown? Why is it that you have prevented your partner, your wife, from seeing the baby?
She knows why she hasn't seen Carson, because she doesn't come and see Carson. Like, you know where we live. We
I
don't
have
know where
a
you
specific
are.
text message of her saying that she's going to control when I can and cannot see my son.
You know what, Ms. Hunt? You know exactly what you have to do, don't you? It's time for you to put on your big girl panties, go to court, and figure out a co-parenting situation. Are you ready to serve divorce papers? You
Yes,
brought
Your
them.
Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
May I see the papers?
Sure.
Thank you very much. Ms. Hunt, you have filled out the divorce papers, but curious enough, you have not signed them. Whenever somebody comes to divorce court and they don't sign divorce papers, that's usually because they don't want a divorce.
I'm 100% confident with my answer.
That's fair.
I'm ready.
That's fair. I have the papers. Do you want them signed and served?
Yes,
That's
Your
only
Honor.
on you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Corey, will you please hand the papers back to the plaintiff?
Sure.
And ask her to sign those papers.
Please sign.
Ms. Brown, the demise of any relationship is never a good thing, especially when there's a child involved. I don't think that the two of you all have been working on this relationship. Corey, can you retrieve the papers, please? I need to make sure that they're in order.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. They're signed. Would you like them served?
Yes, Your Honor.
Serve the papers, please.
You've been served.
I cannot force Ms. Brown to sign those papers, but what I can do is provide a transcript to you so you can begin the proceedings in a court of law. You're going to need to put a co-parenting situation in place because whatever you had, you don't. And that's okay because things change. But what will never change is that little boy deserves two mothers that treat him as a priority and put their ego to the side. We're done here. We're after the break.
Made